Hey guys, my name is Mackenzie Long, and everybody's looking for the shortcut to become an expert. And having recruited and trained hundreds of agents and now thousands of clients, I've been working in teaching people how money works. It's something that's not taught in schools, so it means people are being taken advantage of and they make lots of mistakes when it comes to money. Financial literacy is a huge problem. And obviously, when you're solving big problems, there's lots of opportunity and lots of money to be made. And in this process, it's interesting because people always want to know the shortcut. They want to know how to get there faster. And so today, I want to share that with you. So for me, I just have that personality type. I'm the one that's always looking for ways to do something faster, trying to figure out ways to do things better. And so if you're that way as well, make sure you smash that like button because we just get stuff done. But it's funny because people who are looking for the shortcut oftentimes aren't that way. And in this process of building a good life, there's just things that we need to get good at. And what I've realized in all my readings and all my trainings and all my personal development is that it's true. You can shortcut this process. You can cut down time frames. And what I mean by a shortcut is that it shouldn't take you as long as it takes everybody else. And so the normal person takes about 10,000 hours to really become an expert at something. They've done tons of studies about this, and it's right around the 10,000 hour mark is when you're going to become an expert as well. And I thought about that when I started the industry. Now, I didn't know the 10,000 hour number. I was not that into reading at that point. I wasn't reading a lot of books. I wasn't consuming a lot of content. So at that point, I just realized the only way to really get good at something is being in it and doing more of it. So when I got started, I was actually running a performance shop. I was building race cars. I was having a ton of fun. I was doing a lot of the stuff that I really liked. And then I found this industry kind of on accident. A friend of mine was talking to me about some financial products and was asking me kind of what I was doing, and I wanted to learn more. So I started diving into it. I actually became a client and started saving more money. And then as I was going to the office, I was meeting a lot of the guys that were in the industry, and they were making 2, 3, 4, 10 times the amount of income that I was making, and they looked happy. They would leave in the middle of the day to go watch their daughter's softball game, and that just blew my mind. Even to this day, I don't have words for that because there's nothing in the engineering industry that allows you to do that. So I thought if I could just figure out how they're doing it and I could do that same thing, then obviously I could be in that position as well. So the challenge being is that I was working a ton of hours. I was doing 12, 14, 16-hour days. I was working a lot of hours because I was really trying to get ahead of my business. And I realized the more time that I worked, the faster I could pump out cars, the more things that I could get done, the more money that I could make. So I thought about learning about this industry, maybe just a couple of hours out of the day. I was listening to Think and Grow Rich. I was listening to things like Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I was just trying to stuff knowledge into my brain while my body was doing the activities that I was doing. And I realized it was just way too slow. So I ended up coming into the industry full time because of this exact concept. I knew that it just took a certain amount of time. I didn't know the 10,000 hours. But in order to get good at something, you've got to do it repetitiously over a long enough period of time. So when I came in full time, I didn't really have clients. I wasn't licensed. I didn't really know anything about the industry, but I was willing to learn. And so I just dove into it. And where most people, if we take 10,000 hours and we divide out a 40-hour work week by, let's call it 50 weeks, because most people are going to go on vacation at least 2 weeks out of the year. So it's going to take somebody about 5 years really to become an expert in a new industry. But I thought, well, if I'm doing 60, 70, 80 hours a week already, why can't I just apply that to what I'm already doing and get there even faster? And so that's what I did. So I came into the office, I beat a lot of the records, and I passed up a lot of people who started around the same time as me purely because I dove into it faster than most of them did. So my advice here is at some point, you just got to figure out what it is that you want and go after it. And there were a lot of risks behind that. I had lots of money that was already invested in tools and cars and space and all kinds of stuff that my assets were all over the place, and it wasn't easy to make that shift. And I've seen a lot of people do the same exact thing. But I knew that where I was going, the people who were in that industry that were doing what I was doing, they did not have successful lives. They weren't strong in their faith. They weren't strong with their family. They weren't strong in their finances. They weren't strong in their fitness or their fun. And they were kind of trapped in what it was that they were doing, because most of them were more self-employed and they might have had some employees to help them. Whereas when I was looking in the financial industry, almost all of these guys were brokers and ran huge agencies, and they had all kinds of free time in the world. So my advice here is that, at least from my experience, and at least the people that I found that be very successful, they all kind of made a decision. They said, okay, this is where I'm going, and that's not really where I want to end up. And this is where I could go, and this could possibly take me to where I want to go. So I'm going to shift all of my time, all of my focus, and all of my energy into this. And the ones that usually win the fastest are the ones that make that decision earlier. And for me, I wasn't just having to learn my industry and learn a new craft. I was also having to unlearn everything that I learned as an engineer. When you come into business, everything's about duplication. It's not about creating something new. It's about taking what other people are already doing, finding out what's successful, and copying that. Now in engineering and in school, that was not allowed. You weren't allowed to duplicate anything. So it took me a long time to unlearn what I learned as an engineer and then actually learn the industry and apply what I had learned here. I wanted to create a lot of things because that was my background, instead of just taking what already worked and just duplicating it. Duplication is so much easier than creation. So how do you take these 10,000 hours and shortcut that process? But the most successful way that I found to be able to shortcut that is just involving yourself as much as humanly possible. That when you're outside of the office, or when you're outside of whatever it is that you're doing, can you be listening to a podcast? Can you start listening to other people in the industry? Can you go to events? Can you be around people who are already doing what you want to do? Can you ask them questions to get you further ahead faster? You can shortcut a lot of those timeframes, because I heard somebody say one time, smart people learn from their mistakes, but wise people learn from the mistakes of others. So you don't have to go out and mess everything up. You can just duplicate what other people are already doing in this process of cutting down those 10,000 hours. But regardless of that, you've got to find a way to invest those 10,000 hours. And the sooner you do it, the sooner it is that you're going to get to be where you want to go. And I hope this was helpful for you. So make sure you smash that like button and also hit the subscribe as well. And I will see you later.